shit, dude.
Hey, yo, check out the haircut, man. Look at my dude in the chair. Professional soccer player, Rosendo Flores. Hey, yo, say something for the camera.
Don't do that.
You
can't just change shit up like that.
Hey, bro, let's just cut to the intro.
Oh my god, is that Pico.Blurred?
What's up YouTube, it's Pico.Blurred and I got another tutorial for you guys. I got a higher mid fade and I'm only going to be using 2 guards. So I'm switching it up from my normal steps. I'm just going to be using 2 guards to show you guys that you can achieve this with only using 2 guards versus my normal steps where I use a bunch of guards. But I just want to offer you guys multiple ways to achieve a haircut. You know, my way might not work for you and another way might work better for you. So I just want to show you guys multiple ways on how to achieve a fade and get the right haircut for you and to help you guys with your haircuts and help you guys achieve the looks that you want. Anyway, I'm sectioning off his hair. I'm sectioning the top from the sides, just getting ready to start my haircut. So I'm taking this step super clean. I'm making sure that it's super clean before I start, just to prepare me for my fade later on. Putting your sections in clean like this is just gonna help you. It just makes everything cleaner. And then, you know, you're not worrying about overlying hair that you might cut off and then it's gonna ruin the whole look of the haircut. So make sure you take your time parting and make sure it looks super clean. And so right now I just want to get rid of all the bulk and start building my shape. So I'm using clipper over comb to start with. And he likes his fades really high. So I'm going pretty high up next to the parietal ridge. I'm going pretty close to the head. Still squaring off. I'm not trying to round into the head, but keeping a nice square shape all the way around. It's just going to make this haircut look better. And it's just creating a better shape for this style of haircut, especially with the comb over. You want everything to lay into each other. You want it to blend in super easily. So I'm going right up next to his parietal ridge, flaring out my comb so I don't round into his head. And I'm just taking all the excess hair off, cleaning everything up before I set in my initial guideline. I definitely recommend learning clipper over comb. It's going to save you a lot of time, but also even if you do take your time and you don't do this step super fast, it's going to allow you to create better shape and just really refine the shape of the haircut. Sometimes guards don't get the right shape in every hair, and it can leave some bulky areas. Just because it's plastic combs, it's not going to get every bit, but if you use clipper over comb, you can really define the shape that you're looking for. But if you don't do it right, you can end up messing up the haircut. So make sure if you're learning this, pay super close attention and make sure you get the technique down so you can get it as perfect as you can. You don't want to be messing up the client's haircut. And now that I got kind of a rough draft for the shape and I cleared out all the bulk so I can see what I'm doing, I'm setting in my bald line with my trimmers. I'm going up about halfway on his head. It is a higher mid fade, so I'm not really dropping it too far in the back, but I am still contouring it to the shape of his head. You want to tailor every haircut to your specific client. Fades aren't really cookie cutter. They're not one size fits all. So you want to, if you want to stand out from the rest of the barbers, you want to make sure that you're contouring your fade to your specific client. It's just going to look better that way. It's going to be suited specifically for them. So make sure that you're setting in all your guidelines, contouring to the shape of your client's exact head. And for me, I think it's easier just to clear out all the bulk already since I already have the tool in my hand. I'd rather not just go and leave it till the end of the haircut. Some barbers leave it to the end of the haircut because they say that they can see the transition a little bit better. I just like knocking out this step just so everything's clean. I can see my fade come together. And since I already have my trimmer in my hand, I can just clear out the bulk without having to go back and do that at the end. It saves me a little bit of time and really puts a visual for my starting point in this fade. It really sets up for me as I'm doing my steps. I can clearly see where my beginning is and then where all the hair needs to blend out to. So that's why I like getting rid of everything to begin with. It's just easier for me to see what I need to be doing. It puts an end goal for me. And while you're clearing this bulk, make sure you have a brush or a comb in your hand so you're clearing out all the debris. You can easily see what you're doing. You don't want all kinds of hair getting in the way and then you don't know where you're shaving up to. Make sure you have that brush handy. You can clear out all the debris and continue balding out this area. And the haircut will be good even without this step, but I want to add another level of gradients just to really make this blend pop. So I'm taking my shaver and towards the top of this line, I'm going with the grain so it's a softer transition. And then I go against the grain opposite way of my initial motion to make sure it's completely balded at the bottom. It's gonna create a level of gradients that it'll just make this bald area pop even more. It'll bring the fade even more contrast. So and then I do this with the grain, like I said, so it's not leaving a harsh line. It'll kind of blend towards that bottom, and then you go in the opposite direction when you're coming back up from the bottom, and it'll just meet in together, so you're not leaving any super harsh lines that you can't take out. Honestly, if you want your client's fades to last longer, I'd recommend using a shaver just to bring it that extra level of baldness. You can get away with giving a haircut with just a trimmer. Sometimes I think that it doesn't look quite long lasting. It doesn't look quite as good as if you didn't shave it. So I'd recommend getting you a good shaver and practicing shaving down the bottom. Like I said, it'll just make it last longer and it'll look even more like a bald fade. It'll look even better. Time to put in my next guideline. I'm using my clipper with the lever all the way open, and I'm going about a good inch trying to stretch out this blend. It'll just give me more room to create even more of a transition. If you're setting in your guidelines really small, you're not going to have much room to work with. So on this one in particular, since he likes his fades pretty high, I stretch out my blend or my guidelines. So I have more room to work with. You have more room to get even more of a blend, more of a transition, and it helps you stretch out this blend so it's not so tight towards the bottom. And after I'm done putting in that guideline, to take it out, I start with the same level that I did to put it in. So I'm starting with my lever open, and then I'm closing it little by little as I go down until you see that initial line disappear from the open blade to the bald line. And as you're blending down, you're using a lot of the corners, really hitting every other hair. You're kind of using your clipper as if they were thinning shears. So you're basically hitting every other hair, and that's what gives it that blurry effect. If you hit every single hair, if you use the full blade and you just go up, everything's going to be one length. You kind of want to break the hair apart, and that's what gives you that kind of faded look. So I'm using a lot of my corners, and I'm playing with that lever a lot until I'm happy with the transition. And you'll see as you go down, as you're blending down, you'll see that line just completely disappear. And that's how you know that the blend is good to go, and you keep moving on around the head. I like to blend in kind of small sections, so I'll take up like about an inch section, work that out, and then move on to my right, blend that section out, and then move on. So I'm using like little inch increments until this whole area is blended all the way out. You don't want to blend the whole area out in one go. I just think you'll get lost if you do it that way. So go little by little as you're going around this whole guideline all the way around the head. It'll keep you centered. It'll keep you with your goal in mind, so you're not getting lost when you're taking out this initial guideline. now to set in that next guideline, like I said, I'm only using 2 guards for this fade. So I'm using my 1.5 guard with my lever closed, and I'm going up about an inch, maybe a little bit more. I'm stretching out this blend, but towards the top of this guideline, I'm kind of flicking out because I don't want to create a super harsh guideline. I want to already start the transition into the top near the parietal ridge. So I'm scooping out and making sure I go over these hairs a bunch of times to make sure it's all that one length at that 1.5 guard. If you don't go over the hair multiple times, it could be uneven. So make sure you take your time going multiple strokes and making sure that everything is at that 1.5 guard length. And now to start blending that out, I take my half guard with the lever open, and the same thing with my initial guideline. I'm going to be using it open and closing it little by little as I go down, using mostly the corners until that whole area is blended out. The nice thing with these guards is they kind of blend straight into each other if you use them right. So if you use your 1.5 guard closed, your half guard should blend straight into it, and you might need to flick out a little bit more towards the top, or use a little bit more of the corners, but it should blend seamlessly from your 1.5 down through your half guard. And even when I'm doing my normal fade steps where I use the 2 guard, I use the 1 guard and everything like that, the half guard and the 1.5 guard are super important to my blends. I wouldn't be able to achieve the blends if I didn't use these. So if you just have, your clipper and then you have a 1 guard and you have a 2 guard, I would recommend getting a half guard and a 1.5 guard. It's just going to bring your transitions even easier. I have a couple, old school barbers, and they refuse to use those guards, but I just don't understand why. They think that you can blend straight from the clipper into the number 1, which if you're skilled enough, sometimes you can. I think that you get a better blend if you use that half guard from the 1, because it's something with the 1 guard, between the 1 guard and the clipper open, it just doesn't blend out all the way. So that half guard really ties everything in together. And then the same thing between the 1 and the 2, that 1.5 guard just makes the transition even better. So I would actually for sure tell you guys to get the 1.5 and the half guard. It's just going to bring your blends to the next level. And as you guys are doing these fade steps, you want to make sure that you're using lever play, because sometimes in certain spots you'll have indents in the hair will grow a different direction, stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you're going against the grain, changing the direction of the clipper. If the hair is going backwards, move the clipper in that direction to make sure that you're going against the grain. But you also want to make sure you're using lever playing with that lever, because sometimes you'll have dark spots where they're not supposed to be, and you need to go higher. So if it's not getting it out with the open lever, close your lever and see if that works, and then close it even more. If that doesn't work, close it even more, and then it should come out. You want to make sure that you're really in tune with your clipper, and if looking at the hair, that you know where your lever is supposed to be. And really, more than anything, it's just practice. It's just practicing your technique, practicing your skill, and progressing. You're not going to learn if you don't cut hair. So you need to mess up. You need to cut hair to be able to learn these skills. And now to start blending into the parietal ridge bulk up top, I slap on my 1.5 guard again, starting closed, and then I open it halfway as I go up, cutting the hair, and then I open it all the way to make sure the blend is going into that parietal ridge, getting ready to execute my shape later on with clipper over comb. I'm just setting everything up so it's at a shape and it's blending into the bottom of the fade, and then I'll refine that shape later on. And again, using this, I'm flicking out. I'm not going into the round of his head. I'm flicking out, making sure the transition from the fade into the longer hair on top is nice and clean. I'm not digging in and making this haircut round. I'm just basically going off the shape of his head. And now for the final shaping, you're using clipper over comb again, and you're just redefining that shape, making sure it's perfect for this haircut. When you're using clipper over comb, it should be about a 1.5 or a 2 guard. So it should blend straight from that 1.5 guard if it's pressed up against the head towards the bottom. So if it's pressed up against the head, it's going to be that 1.5 guard length. And then I flare it out square. So it's making a square shape going off of the parietal ridge, taking off all the bulk and really blending in. So if you're taking off bulk, that's when you go across the comb. And if you want to blend it in, you're going up vertical against the comb. That's really how you want to be looking at it, like this. So if you want to take off bulk, go across. If you want to blend, go up. And just keep attacking that bulk until you're satisfied with the shape and you're satisfied with the density of that area. And you really want it to blend seamlessly into that fade at the bottom. And now I'm pretty happy with the fade, so I'm going to be trimming his hair down a bit. He doesn't like a whole lot taken off the top, so we're just basically taking off about 1/2 inch, just making sure everything's all even and everything's clean up top. So I section the hair into a mohawk profile section. I comb the hair to the sides, and then I have that little strip in the middle. That's where I'm taking my initial guideline for the top of his head, and I'm matching it with the back of his hair so everything lays nicely, everything blends in to the fade. And I'm taking up the hair a couple times. If I don't get it right the first time, if I don't get the right shape and the right tension the first time, I'll comb it up again until I'm happy with the tension and everything's lining up, going down that guideline, and then I just snip off the hair that needs to be snipped off. And with comb overs like this, I like to have it shorter in the back and then longer in the front. So I'll over direct the front hair kind of backwards, just so it lays longer than the rest of his head from the back. And once I'm done with that whole strip, I'm gonna brush that to each side of the head. So I'm starting with the right side, and I'll bring the hair up with horizontal sections, and you'll see that guideline from the middle and the hair on the sides that needs to be cut. The middle guideline will be shorter than the side that you're bringing up, so you'll bring it right up to that guideline, and then you'll see all the longer hair, so you'll just cut that hair off. And you'll notice that I bring the hair kind of straight up, as I want to keep that square shape. I'm not bringing it out to the right where it hangs over. I'm bringing it up to that guideline, so we keep as much bulk and density of the hair and length of the hair as possible. And after I'm done cutting the top, you'll see me go back in and pull the hair to his comb over style, and then I'll cut it straight up, just so there's not a whole bunch of overhang going over the parietal ridge, and it blends in nicely. So right here, I'll kind of comb over the hair, and then you'll see me cut that corner off where it's longer. You'll see a long piece in the middle between the two sections. So you'll see the short on the top and then short on the side where you did the fade, and then you just snip off that corner, and it'll blend. It should blend the hair straight from the long hair on top into your fade at the bottom. And once you're done with one side, you'll take that middle section again, and then you'll comb it over to the other side so you have that same guideline, and then you just do the same thing that you did with this side. So I'm gonna let you guys kind of watch this and then get to the end of the video. So I hope you guys really enjoy this shear work. Be sure to learn your shear work. You don't want to be a one-dimensional barber. You want to be able to cut the top and the side. So work on that shear work and become an expert at using shears and clippers. And now the finishing touch, you always want to frame your artwork. So I'm using my trimmer, my sharp trimmers, and I'm creating a guideline at the top of his C cup and then one at the bottom of the C cup, and then I'm meeting them in the middle using my corners, going in a round shape, and I'm keeping it super natural. I'm not digging in. I'm not creating, you know, the darkest line possible by digging into the hair, because it'll look dark, but then it's not going to grow right. It'll look pretty bad because you can see where the hair is getting pushed in. So I'm keeping it as natural as possible, but it's still going to be dark. It's still going to be super sharp. And that's what I pride myself in, is getting these really sharp edge ups and I'm not taking much hair off at all. I'm just taking the overhang over the line, but it's still really dark. It's still really sharp. And you're really letting the trimmer do the work for you. You're not really pushing in. You're just guiding that trimmer, and it should be sharp enough to just get you the sharpest edge up possible. And we're pretty much all done. So I'm dusting him off. I'm using my air duster, getting all the hair off. I'm cleaning his neck off with my duster using some talc powder, and then I'm going to be spraying him with alcohol cologne, just making sure all the shaved parts are super clean and sanitized. And that's the final look. Got that bald fade looking blurry with only 2 guards. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you guys keep coming back for more. And please, if you would, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate the support, and I'll keep dropping more and more videos. But it's your boy Pico.Blurred, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.